Hi Year 4 and welcome to Friday's Reading for Pleasure. We're going to find out all about Julius Caesar today. Julius Caesar, a nation mourns. Knife fight wipeout ends brilliant career. 44 BC. Julius Caesar is dead, fatally stabbed by a gaggle of senators. His murder brings to an end the career of Rome's greatest soldier. He was 55 years old. Caesar was born into a posh patrician family in 100 BC and went to the best schools in Rome and Rhodes. Always ambitious, he soon gained a reputation as a brilliant speaker and rose quickly to the top in politics, siding with the populares. Rampage. Palling up with fellow fat cats Pompey and Crassus, he took the job of consul in 59 BC. His year as top man in Rome was followed by a 9-year rampage through Gaul, that's France to our younger readers, which he added to the empire. During his campaign, Caesar's troops blitzed a record-breaking, rampant storming 800 towns. He also invaded Britain a couple of times, although he didn't stay. But back in Rome, his two allies, Crassus and Pompey, were having mixed fortunes. In 53 BC, Crassus went off to Asia to fight the Parthians. They completely wiped the floor with his army, and his severed head was gleefully tossed at the feet of the Parthian king. How embarrassing. Pompey had done better. Envious of Caesar's success, he plotted with the Senate to bring Julius down a peg. In 52 BC, the Senate declared Pompey sole consul and ordered Caesar to give up his army and come back to Rome. Caesar sensed that returning home might well involve having his head tossed at Pompey's feet. He came back to Rome, but sensibly took his army with him, so began a civil war. Murder. Caesar overran Italy, wiped out 7 of Pompey's legions, and then chased him to Greece, where he pulverised Pompey's army. Pompey fled to Egypt, which was unwise. He was murdered the moment he stepped ashore, on the orders of a king anxious to keep on the right side of Caesar. There followed a stopover in Egypt, where Caesar was presented with Pompey's embalmed head. He also found time to woo top local Cleopatra, the dishiest queen in ancient history. He returned to Rome in 46 BC and declared himself dictator for 10 years. Sensing they were thoroughly beaten, the senators nodded meekly. Purple. Earlier this year, he made himself dictator for life. He kept himself busy, giving land to 80,000 soldiers, reducing debts, improving the government, and commissioning some fine new buildings. But many senators feared the power was going to his head. He rarely consulted the Senate, who had run Rome for the past 500 years. Senators thought he was acting like one of those kings they'd ousted in 510 BC. He even appeared in public in a gilded chair wearing a purple toga. Fearing he was actually going to declare himself king, 60 senators attacked him during a political meeting and stabbed him 23 times. A strike rate of only slightly more than 1 senator in 3. Not very impressive. But the murder has not been greeted with much enthusiasm. Senators expecting to be applauded for their actions were greeted with stunned silence and have fled to the hills. The record says, watch this space for more edge-of-seat political hijinks. 7 things you never knew about Caesar. You might actually know 1 or 2 of these, but 7 things about Caesar. The month of July is named after him. The German and Russian words for king, which are Kaiser and Tsar, are based on his name. Caesar first met Cleopatra when she smuggled herself into his palace wrapped in a carpet. Their red-hot romance held up the civil war for 7 months. Shortly afterward, she had a son called Caesarion. Caesar introduced a new 365-day calendar, which, give or take the odd tweak and an extra day, is still used today. His daughter Julia was married to ally and then enemy Pompey. She died in childbirth shortly before the two men fell out. And the final fact? He was elected chief of the Roman priesthood, aged just 37. An amazing feat, as the job always went to someone who was considerably wrinklier and sage-like. So there you go. That is the rise and fall of Julius Caesar. Next week, we'll read a couple more bits of the history of the Romans before Pompeii, and then we're going to start looking at the history after that. Okay? Have a lovely weekend. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.